Orochimaru is effectively immortal. After all the experiments he's done to himself, nothing we've been shown in the series has been able to permanently get rid of everybody's favorite snake man. Well, except one thing. That being the Reaper Dead Seal, a jutsu so powerful, it seals your soul away as well as your chakra. Hiruzen tried and failed to fully seal away Orochimaru with this jutsu, but let's pretend this time around. He didn't mind the sword in his chest all too much, and he felt a bit of youthful vigor wash over him, just enough to completely seal away Orochimaru. Both Orochimaru and Hiruzen would drop dead, forever battling in the belly of the Reaper. The body that Orochimaru had possessed would go back to looking like its normal host, but this would alarm the Soundfall to their master's defeat. They would drop the barrier and try to help Orochimaru, which would prompt the Anbu who have been watching the battle between Orochimaru and Hiruzen to swoop in and attack. Even though the curse mark is powered by Sage Energy, it's also powered by Orochimaru's life force and tied to Orochimaru's life force. So with Orochimaru basically wiped off the face of the earth, the Sound Force curse marks wouldn't work anymore, functionally just becoming some cool tattoos. But let's not forget, even with the curse marks, they all got beat by Genin, who were Chunin level at best. So I think the Hokage's Anbu would easily kill them off. Kabuto, seeing his master was dead, would run off. He would likely try and revive Orochimaru when he got back to the Sound Village, or try to do what he did in canon when Orochimaru died, which is infuse his cells into his own body. But with Orochimaru's life force sealed away, any sample of Orochimaru's DNA would be useless. Think of it like this: Hashirama cells without the Hashirama-ness in them. They just become normal cells. So Kabuto would be forced to change his identity and would disappear, never to be seen again. Also, Sasuke would also lose his curse mark powers, which would make him mellow out a bit, as the curse mark was corrupting his body and mind. After Hiruzen's funeral, Naruto and Jiraiya would still search for Tsunade, the encounter going a lot differently, as Orochimaru wouldn't interfere, but without that interaction, it would be a lot harder to convince Tsunade to become Hokage. But Naruto eventually learning Rasengan and his usual smooth talk would just be about enough to convince her in the end. Oh, almost forgot to mention, if I don't talk about a part of the story, it's because it happens exactly the same even in this What If. Anywho, once Tsunade woke Sasuke up from the beatdown he got from Itachi, he wouldn't want to fight with Naruto, as a lot of that was Orochimaru's influence. Hence why the Soundfall knew to pay him a visit that same night. Okay, now that we've gotten past Konoha Crush, this is where things change drastically. Without Orochimaru around, Sasuke never leaves the village, which greatly affects Sasuke, of course, but also Naruto. The primary reason Naruto trained with Jiraiya was to become strong enough to bring back Sasuke. Naruto would still leave to train with Jiraiya, as the secondary reason of the Akatsuki wanting to capture him is still more than sufficient to make him want to get stronger. But the length of Naruto's training was mainly because that's how long he had until Orochimaru took Sasuke's body. The Akatsuki being inactive for a similar amount of time was just simply a coincidence. All this to say, Naruto would leave the village for far longer than he did in canon. His training would still initially be about mastering the Nine Tails, but like in canon, after Jiraiya almost died from Naruto using the Four Tails chakra, he would give up on the idea, instead pivoting to teaching Naruto all the things he should have taught him from the very beginning, like how to use his nature affinity. I do think Naruto would eventually figure out how to use clones to speed up his training. Honestly surprised he didn't think about it sooner, considering he uses clones for literally everything. But I digress. This would greatly improve Naruto's training. Jiraiya would have Naruto master his wind nature before he suggests Naruto complete the Rasengan, but Naruto would eventually learn to create the Rasen Shuriken. It would just take longer than in canon. Also, with more time to perfect the jutsu, he would learn to make it a projectile without the need of Sage Mode. Speaking of which, Naruto would learn Sage Mode. Since mastering the Nine Tails was a bit of a lost cause at this point, it only makes sense for Jiraiya to pivot again to making him learn something else, in this case, Sage Mode. Naruto would also pick up a second nature release, Fire, as it paired well with his already existing Wind nature release. All this training, even with the Shadow Clone trick, would double how long Naruto was away from the Leaf Village. Back in the village, Sasuke would be training with Kakashi. Knowing Naruto was away with the legendary ninja, would further his resolve to tirelessly train. He would still develop his Chidori variants, yes, even Kirin, as those were clearly his idea and not directly taught to him by Orochimaru. The same way, we only ever see Sasuke be taught the fireball jutsu by his dad, but he still managed to come up with a dozen different fire jutsu all by himself. And with Kakashi helping him, he would learn a few more Chidori variants like Lightning Hound. He would also still fully develop his base Sharingan and its abilities, as by this point, Sasuke would undoubtedly be a Jonin, and all the tough missions he would go on that risk his life and risk the life of his comrades would push him emotionally to further develop the Sharingan. Also, Sasuke being around would help Kakashi improve with his own Sharingan, as seeing Sasuke's natural improvement with it would give him ideas. Sasuke would also end up signing a dog summoning contract, and he also wouldn't learn how to use a sword. So overall, Sasuke would be weaker, but not by a lot. He's still a prodigy after all. I would put him on the same level as Kakashi at this point, maybe even a little bit stronger, honestly. The Akatsuki would still kidnap Gaara. This time Sasuke would take Naruto's place. Gaara still dies, but this time stays dead. But both Deidara and Sasori would also die. Deidara this time around dying because he wouldn't try escaping, instead wanting to kill Sasuke because he hates the Uchiha and the Sharingan. Itachi has that effect on people. Unfortunately for Deidara, he would get his ass beat because Kakashi would be around, and he would inevitably try his giant suicide explosion, but he would just get sucked away by Kamui in the end. Also, when the undead duo eventually made their move, they would die in a very similar fashion as in canon. It's after Itachi sends a message to Sasuke where things would change. The fight with Itachi would go a bit differently, as Itachi would be going even easier on Sasuke, but the ending is the same. He'd still tap Sasuke on his forehead and die shortly after. But this time around, since Kakashi and Sakura instead of Taka would be the ones to tag along with Sasuke, he would be taken back to the Leaf Village instead of joining Obito. Obito wouldn't order Pain to attack the Leaf Village because they would know Naruto is not in the Leaf Village because the Akatsuki collects info on all the Jinchuriki. They would still be looking for Naruto, but it's kinda hard to find somebody in Mount Myoboku, not even sure if it's on Earth. So, all this to say, Pain would attack the Cloud Village instead, capturing Killer Bee, which would result in the Cloud Village declaring war on the Rain Village, as it would be discovered that that's where Pain was from. A 5 Kage summit would be held to suggest an alliance against the Akatsuki. The Stone Village wouldn't join because Gaara wasn't around this time to sweet talk Anoiki. Obito would still reveal himself at Madara at this 5 Kage summit just to threaten the other villages and demand for them to give him the 9 tails. Even though he was under the persona of Madara, they wouldn't believe him, so they wouldn't give a flying fuck about what he says. And the 4th Great Ninja War would officially be declared against the Akatsuki. 4 of the 5 great nations would wage war against the Rain Village. With Naruto still in Mount Myoboku, he wouldn't hear about it or participate. The war would rage on for a couple of years, as Pain and Obito would be making use of the White Zetsu army and using the Rain Village as a stronghold, so that's pretty hard to penetrate. But without the reanimated ninjas, Pain and Obito would eventually lose, ending the Akatsuki organization. Naruto would eventually return to the village and be a bit annoyed that the big bad Akatsuki he spent more than half a decade tirelessly training to fight against doesn't exist anymore. But in the years following, there would be more war. The perceived power imbalance of the Leaf Village still having its tailed beast would cause the other villages to wage war against the Leaf. Naruto would routinely have to fight off kidnappers and be the most prized possession in the ninja world, being the last Jinchuriki. So the cycle of hatred wouldn't end and the ninja world would never know peace. Of course, until Momoshiki comes to visit and kills everyone. That's all from me. Hope you enjoyed watching and have a lovely rest of your day.